Hello, do you want to try your hand at being a dungeon master but don't know where to start? I promise it's actually a lot easier than you think, and I want to guide you through the process that I use to write one-shots and short games for my friends. Step 1 is, well, obviously scheduling, good luck with that, but after that we have the easiest part. Just go ahead and ask your potential party what kind of characters they want to make and play. And then sit back for a while, let everyone else get creative, and be a yes man until they start having questions about the world. As a solid example, I'll go ahead and randomly make a trio of characters from scratch and then build a world for them. To make a shorter game fun, I always like to start at a bit of a higher but still manageable level. I like adventures between level 3 and level 5. Okay, for the characters, they're all gonna be dumb. Starting with Stuart Littler, a druid gnome who wears a mouse costume and dreams of collecting and commanding all of the mice in the world. Then we'll add Cutthroatius Daggerheart the 15th, an assassin rogue from a relatively long line of elf rogue cultists born out of wedlock, which became immediately obvious since he's a half-orc. Lastly, we'll put Jason Christ in the mix, an ASMR cleric who is convinced that he's probably the son of a god. I'll have to figure that part out. But my favorite thing about making characters before settings is that they all either have goals to accomplish, or they're a weird mixed bag with prepackaged mysteries about who they are and what they need to do, and all you have to do is answer those simple questions by making the story. So before my campaign ends, Stuart needs to have a scene where he uses a literal army of mice to accomplish something. Cutthroatius probably needs to meet his orc dad and maybe uncover a secret, and that could even lead into the destruction of his organization. And Jason, I don't know what he needs. I still have to pick a satisfying god to involve in the story somehow. At least I know the player really well. Now, we have all of our ingredients on the table, and it's time to cook.
Someone cooked here.
We essentially need an appetizer to get the party engaged, a special dish for each player, and a dessert at the ending that leaves everybody with a full belly and lingering sweetness. But first, we set the table, like table setting. Since we have a chaotic character, an edgy one, and a bright but confused light, I should probably build a world that echoes all three of those feelings. I'm thinking maybe a large, overcast city with an intricate sewer network. No, wait, that's just Gotham City. I'm gonna make a bizarre one, and I apologize in advance to my editor, who is wonderful. I want 4 cities placed in the bellies of giant Buddha-style gods, all sitting in meditative states facing each other in a circle, with bridges attaching each city, and also a Breath of the Wild dragon that slowly floats in a figure 8 around them, and maybe one of the gods is dead. Okay, since we have 3 players, we'll split up the story into 5 sessions, which I like to call chapters. Chapter 1 focuses on getting the party together and familiar with the world. Chapters 2 through 4 focus on one character at a time, and then we finish with a battle. For a cleric, an assassin, and a rat man to join up, we need a really complicated common goal. I want to start with a fun event, like a parade or an auction or a wedding. We'll do a wedding. That way I can make Jason Christ the officiant, and the bride can be the assassin's next target, and Stuart snuck into the wedding for cake. Wait, this is supposed to be easy. Why did I make 2 of them potential enemies? I can do this. Okay, the wedding kicks off. The mouse eats the cake early, but instead of saying I do, the target bride says you die, and kills the other bride. If that was a twist for you, you're the villain. Visitors scramble, screaming everywhere, while random members of the crowd reveal their true nature as a bizarre cult with a cat motif. The fight will go on. It feels only fair that the assassin actually gets to take out his mark, and the mouse man will have secret info on the cult since the mice have been dwindling in numbers since that cult started. That's pretty much a wrap on session 1. We just need a pointed hook to bring everyone together and lead them into chapter 2 somehow. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by putting a note on the dead villain with directions to desecrate this ceremony, signed by someone called the Rat King. Hey, if you like the video, you might like the books that I wrote. I did a crazy archipelago campaign with eldritch gods and undead kings called Sunken Isles. There's also a big fat banger called The Seeker's Guide to Twisted Taverns with 17 fantasy bars, drinks, quests, and adventures, and my firstborn child, Stibble's Codex of Companions. That's like Pokemon for D&D, and it's got buddy mechanics. The link is in the description. Check out the whole Ghostfire shop, but my stuff is the best stuff, and back to the video. I set this up really bad, but the cool thing is we get a week to plan the next one. And I always fly by the seat of my pants when I write for D&D. For the next one, I'll lead them into the assassin story, where we'll have the party travel between two Buddha cities. I think it would be visually cool if there was a group of orc warriors that lived on the dragon's back, and as the party's crossing the bridge, the dragon will fly under it and then they'll get attacked. I should probably end that fight with Cutthroatius's dad, Chophedicus, recognizing his son, and then throw together a random big chat to resolve some player questions and somehow give them an ultimatum. Either abandon the path of the Assassin's Guild and gain a small army of orc allies, or take advantage of his father's trust and commit Greek-style patricide. I feel like kicking a warlord off a dragon sounds really cool. Either way, no harm done to the party's overall resources. And then they reach the second city, starting session 3. Let's make this city that dead god that I mentioned, and center this story on Jason Christ. Maybe there's a prominent church in the area, and a famine that conveniently boosts the local mouse population. Using his clerical powers, alongside the mouse man's wrangling, they'll save the city, which aggravates a rival bad guy cleric. During the fight with him, we could reveal that the god died in a fight with one of the other city belly gods, which the evil cleric probably worships, and that'll be their destination. They'll also learn that Jason is the only son of the 4th city, which we could tee up for some fun later probably. We'll wrap up this session with them killing the stinky cleric, hurrah, and also leaving the city with a swarm of mice in tow. Chapter 4, The Fight with the Rat King, who was actually the Cat King the whole time, he just has really bad handwriting. I didn't plan that earlier, but it felt like it fit. He'll also be an ASMR who's trying to wake up the ancient sleeping city to try and kill the other two. And he's also been collecting mice using the pipes of the sewers. For some reason adjacent to blood sacrifice. But if our druid manages to sneak in and get a hold of those pipes, and then play them himself, we can get a big scene where a swarm of mice kills the bad guy. But something else has to happen. So let's say there's a world rule that when an ASMR dies within its god's belly, it allows them to possess it. I stumbled my way into what I think is a really cool big ending for the party, where Jason Christ has to run over to its own parent and sacrifice himself there, and then we get a giant sumo fight with a dead villain possessing a god, while the half-orc flies around on a huge dragon to help with his small army, and at the same time the mouse guy gets to wreak havoc in the villain's belly with an ocean swarm of mice. I think that sounds kind of fun. Oh, I have to tie the ending to the beginning or it wouldn't make any sense. Okay. I could swap the god origin and make the bride that was assassinated in the beginning a third ASMR, who was killed in the belly of another god so that they wouldn't wake up the third one. That's really convoluted. I don't know if that's good at all. But, all the characters' stories wrapped up, and the players are maybe happy, and the world was changed so much that they have no reason to keep playing. I think all of that was just to say, trust your players to make fun characters, and then bounce around making each one happy in different sessions until the story comes to a crazy head. Okay, there's your lesson. Get out of my school.